Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another exciting and much awaited national level virtual discussion on My Sustainable Campus organized by QSI Gauge. My name is Arun, and I'm the Associate Director for Client Relations at QSI Gauge. We will soon be joined by our respected keynote speaker, Mrs. Jyotika Resingani Dhawan, and a vibrant student panel headed by Mr. Dhruv Jati. And for the first time, we are taking this session live both on YouTube as well as Facebook. So subscribe and stay tuned for more such sessions in the future. So before I move on, let me give a quick introduction about QS and our Indian initiatives for the schools and higher education institutions before we proceed further with the SDGs and the subject. So QS Cockerelli Simmons, as we all know, there is no introduction is needed. However, we are the world's leading provider of services, analytics, and insight to the global higher education sector, whose mission is to enable motivated people around the world to achieve their potential through academic achievement, international mobility, and career development. And we have launched our Indian operations through a joint venture called the QSI Gauge, which is India's first nationwide educational rating system for the schools, colleges, and the universities, aims at capturing the essence of dynamic Indian education system and conforms to international standards and best practices. Let me just come back to our core subject, which is the SDGs or the Sustainable Development Goals, which has superseded the MDGs. So before the SDGs have been adopted by the UN in 2015. So it was a Millennium Development Goal, and this SDGs have superseded the MDGs in 2015, which is a very comprehensive and integrated approach of 17 set of distinct goals where they recognize that action in one area will affect the outcome in others. So, thus, by creating a very balanced system of social, economical, and environmental stability. So, as you all might be wondering, QS as a global organization, what is our plot in implementing SDGs? So QS as a global organization is highly committed in implementing SDGs across the globe, primarily within the education sector. So, in line with this, QS has decided to launch our SDG campaigns for the schools, colleges, and universities in India. And why India? This is the second largest schooling system in the world, where our initiative aims to connect with those students that are passionate about implementing SDGs and those envision a sustainable institution. So we are also proud to announce our national level competitions on SDGs for students. Most likely by the month of Jan or February, we are expected to launch that, and through which we would like to see the Indian schools and the student communities setting a benchmark for their global counterparts in implementation of SDGs in educational institutions, creating more and more sustainable campuses across the globe. So, through this first ever national level virtual discussion on My Sustainable Campus, we wish to give a head start to our SDG initiatives, Sustainable Development Goals initiatives for our upcoming years. So now I would like to introduce and welcome Mrs. Jyotika Raisingani Dhawan to give the keynote address for this session. So about Mrs. Jyotika Dhawan, she is the founder of Helix HR and Alliance Square. I'm sorry. So, Mrs. Dhawan is a human resource facilitator, diversity and SDG champion. So, her expertise includes innovative social sensitization of youth, diversity leadership development, inclusive cultures, equality, sustainable development goals, and human resources. So, while coming back to her other side, her search firm Helix HR is one of the most sought after executive search companies for placement and diversity, India and globally. She runs Orion with her partner Nitin Dhawan, and Orion Square is an award winning social impact platform for students aligned with sustainable development goals for India. So they have been working thousands of students across India globally to create a cutting edge insights, best practices, sustainable improvement in society that equips students with the tools to bring out a change, including those related to gender equality, poverty, inequality, climate, etc. And they are closely working with United Nations development programs, UNGC, United Nations volunteers on several interventions related to sustainable development goals and inclusions. So while looking at the recognitions that Mrs. Dhawan has received so far, she has received an award on equality and diversity by Femina and Subera Social Enterprise Award, and recently the DMA Award for women entrepreneur doing significant social impact work in India. So it's a privilege for me to share the screen with Mrs. Jyotika Dhawan, and I welcome her for giving the keynote address in the national level discussion on My Sustainable Campus organized by QSI. Welcome, Mrs. Jyotika. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arun. This is thank you for a lovely introduction. I hope everyone can hear me, and congratulations to you guys for putting this forum together, and to everyone who is joining us today. I think because you've taken a first step in, actually, it sounds very big, but the fact is that you've taken the step in saving humanity. You've already given our introduction that we are a social impact platform for youth aligned with sustainable development goals. Uh, Equality, diversity, and inclusion is another strong area, focus area for us. So we are working on diversity, inclusion, equality, and SDGs with schools and colleges as well as for employment. So without, I know we are very short on time, and there's a great forum that you all have put together. So let me just talk about these SDGs and some of the things that we all can do together. So Arun did share what are these SDGs, and I'm sure a lot of you are already aware. Why are they so critical? So I'll just do a quick recap. We all know that there are a set of 17 goals for the world's future, which are to be achieved by 2030. They are backed up by a set of 169 detailed targets. They earlier, like Arun mentioned, there were MDGs that we used to call them Millennium Development Goals, and now these are SDGs. They're adapted by 193 countries, including India. Uh, but yet, while we are having this forum and we are talking about this in with the students in India, you all would have noticed that people don't know too much about SDGs. People do not participate very enthusiastically in the implementation of sustainable development goals. And I let's talk about why does that happen? How do we engage communities everywhere to make the United Nations goals local goals? How do you and me contribute to achieving the Agenda 2030? We all know that we need effective collaboration, especially to generate the engagement at SDGs at your level, at my level, at schools, at colleges, and in corporate, in working areas. But I strongly, me and Nitin, when we started this organization, we strongly felt that unless and until the youth takes responsibility for implementing and localizing the SDGs in their community, and that includes schools and neighborhood or friends and family, we will not be able to achieve the Agenda 2030. Uh, Having said that, a lot of people, again, parents, especially the students who work with us, who are engaged with us in various projects, and parents who are working with us or schools, they ask us why should we contribute to something like this, or why what is in it for me. But we have to understand that the multiple benefits that results from a successful implementation of an SDG is important not just for the nation or the humanity, but it's important for our lives and our families and the community of life as a whole. It's a very simple statement, but it's very profound that the future we want has to be created by us, and that's what these SDGs are doing for us. So at our Ryan Square, while we will do a short introduction later, but every project or every event that we do with students is aligned to one or more SDGs, because they are all interconnected actually. So students are doing projects on environment like unwasting, organic gardening, recycling, upcycling, sustainable fashion, and sustainable consumption, the plastic dilemma, to use or not to use, creating economic equality through slum school projects, libraries, skill building of the vulnerable, government school children mentoring, or freedom from malnutrition, or water projects. Again, like I mentioned before, focus on diversity and discrimination and inclusiveness, which includes transgenders, which includes promoting diversity in school specifically, and I'll talk about that a little later too. Doing short films on diversity, doing projects on harassment at female harassment at government, at schools or in public places, sports for underprivileged, music therapy at shelter homes, old age homes, animal care. So there are various ways, and all of these that I mentioned are connected to one or more SDGs, and it's very important. So people like you come up with innovative ideas and solutions, and we mentor them and address the opportunities for them to work towards SDGs for India. Like I said, poverty or illiteracy, inequality, and discrimination will continue to grow around us if people like you and me focus on that this is what I achieved rather than this is what we did for the betterment of society. So it's important that we come out of our bubble and work towards saving the humanity. Having said that, while we are sitting here, and I'm sure there's a huge number of students who are watching us today and involved with QS and with Oran Square and with UN organizations, I don't think we are touching even 1% of the population in India. With 356 million youth, 10 to 20-year-olds, India is, of course, the highest population of youth in the world. And the overall success of SDGs depends on the engagement with you guys, because you are critical thinkers, you're change makers, you're innovators, you're the best communicators, and you're leaders. You are empowered with the knowledge, and you have the right skills, right innovation. And I think that should be supported and strengthened. And I'm so glad QS has started this initiative. And this will go a long way in contributing to this cause. I'm quoting UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon when he gave his Youth Day message, that no one knows better than the youth the issues at stake or the best way to respond. That is why I'm calling on young people to speak out, and I'm urging leaders to listen. So here I hope when you all speak, there are people who are listening. At least we are listening. So, what are some of the things that you can do? You can get involved with organizations like us who are working on localizing SDGs through youth. You can also become UN youth volunteers, join one of the UN local agencies, and get involved with them. There are various ways, to get involved, and I'll tell you why. Because, and you should, because you end of the day, we all know that you and me both are privileged. The fact that we are able to sit in a session like this, you're understanding English, you're understanding every word that I'm saying. You have a Wi-Fi or laptop or computer in front of you. You can actually think of ordering some good food after this session is over. You can probably think of a sweater or a heater if you're feeling cold, or you're thinking of switching on a cooler or AC if you're feeling hot. It's testimony to the fact that you are right now the privileged class. We all are. And I'm sure I don't want to bore you with statistics, but it's important to know that 68.8% of Indian population lives on less than $2 a day. And in fact, 30% have less than $1.2 per day available. And inequality in India has not gone down. In fact, it's very surprising that it has actually gone up. It has actually, between 2000 and 2017, inequality has risen 6 times. India's richest 10% own as much as 80.7% of the total wealth. There's a stark disparity between the rich and the poor, the privileged and the underprivileged. So, despite we are doing very well in so many spheres, there are so many people who are not getting good meal a day. One third of the world's malnourished children, in fact, live in India. We are the most, you all know, we are the most populated country after China. We are 17% of the global population and 20% of world out of school children. This, in fact, since this forum is about my sustainable campus, the fact is that a lot of you, wherever you're studying, I'm sure you've seen around you, you don't see a disabled child sitting next to you. You don't see any transgender who's sitting next to you and attending school. You don't have people with special needs from the mainstream, being part of your campus. So, which is the reality is that 35.2% of people living with disabilities are children, and India has 12 million children living with disabilities, and only 1% of them have access to school. So these are some of the things I'm sure you can do something about, since you're talking about my sustainable campus. And it's not just about infrastructure, it's about people around you. In fact, mentally, the ones who are intellectually disabled are even less, attending school even less. See, 80, in fact, I think the last year report said 86% of seats reserved for children with disabilities are lying vacant in private schools. Private school, in fact, is gaining 17 million students every year. In 5 years, government schools have lost that many. So there is a huge disparity, and I'm sure you all understand that, and there is a lot that you can do about this. Again, I can go on and on with statistics, but let me go back to a small presentation that I've put together for you, which will give you a little more, which will help us understand the landscape. So can you share the presentation, please? So I'm going to run through this because I don't think we have too much time. Uh, we all know I've already introduced Orion Square, so I'm not going to get into details on this. I've already introduced the SDGs. Like I said, all the SDGs are interconnected. Whatever you choose to work on, whether it's poverty or hunger or good health or education or equality, gender equality, it's all interconnected with each other. I will skip through this because I think we don't have too much time. But just in the essence, all these SDGs are universal because they're applicable to cities, businesses, schools, organizations. That's why they are called. There is universality. They are all interconnected, all integrated towards each other. Inclusiveness because you're trying to touch each and every, leaving no one behind. And of course, you are trying to transform in a big way. There are fundamental changes on how we live on Earth. You can actually choose to, like I said, there is work that you can do in every and each SDG, and there is so much that one can think of. It's innovation. You are change makers, you're innovators, and you can think of end poverty in all its forms, and that could be with education, that could be in a lot of other projects that you do. It could be actually helping your peons in schools and didis, children to actually attain good education. There are many ways one can start doing this in their own campuses. Again, zero hunger. Let me tell you, we did a project on malnutrition with some of the students, and the fact is that children in India, it's not that they do not get in nutrition. They are malnutrition. There is huge amount of malnutrition because what they are eating is momos and chips every single day. It's not that they are not eating; they are eating quite what they can in the 10-20 rupees that they earn, but they are going and choosing chips and momos and chili potato every single day. So in what really happens is that it's not just their bodies that are getting impacted, their minds too. So they drop out of schools because there is not enough nutrition coming. If you eat chips, you also go ahead and eat something nutritious in your home. But what they are doing is they're not eating anything nutritious through the day. And that is causing a big issue in India. Again, ensuring good health and promoting well-being for all, and that includes old age as well. We do a lot of work with old people. Ensuring inclusive and quality education, like I was talking about in your own campuses. Question this: do you have an inclusive education in your campus? Do you have that gender equality? And gender equality, I don't think we should forget the third gender. We only keep talking about male and female. While I know, yes, there's a long way to go for even female empowerment, but there are more genders than two. Ensure access to clean water and sanitation. Again, look around you. You have good sanitation and water. How many people around you have the same, including in your people who are working in your school? Sustainable and modern energy, and there's huge amount of projects that people can do around, students can do on this as well, including adopting a slum around your school. Promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth, and that would mean for everyone. That would mean for disabled, for LGBTQI, for women, for economically disadvantaged section, for minorities. Building resilient infrastructure, foster innovation. This is something that you're already, I'm sure, equipped at doing. reduce all form of inequality. So we've already talked about that and given you a very strong statistics to this also. Make cities inclusive, safe. We very recently did a project on gender harassment at public places, and it was a very interesting project where, because we think that there is no harassment happening at public places, but in fact, it's there were very startling revelations that came out of it. And students, in fact, have made very interesting, implemented very interesting solutions to these things. These are not just projects that you can do only to question. You will be implementing, you should be implementing, whether it's social media campaigns or whether it's working with government agencies or schools or somebody at the local level to actually implement some changes. And don't think that I only impacted a small area, so it's not important. It's very important. Even that 100 meters that you impact is very important. Ensure responsible and sustainable consumption. You know how dangerous fast fashion is. In fact, that's one of our very strong focus areas. How to eliminate fast fashion and responsible consumption. Take urgent action for climate. That you all know. This is something that everybody's been talking about. But yet there's a huge amount of work that needs to be done in this. Life underwater, life in biodiversity, protect life on land. I will send you a link on a short film that we just made on this, Insi Bhaiya, which is, you can catch it on YouTube. It's called Insi Bhaiya. And this is exactly how we are destroying our biodiversity and our life on land, and how this pandemic is actually a result of the same. So do catch it if you have the time. Insi Bhaiya. There are a lot of other diversity movies also that we have put on our Ryan Square channel. You can look at that as well. Yes, and then there is inclusive, revitalize the global partnership and inclusive institutions. So, like I said, each goal is important and all of them are connected. And we, of course, while QS was talking about the events, we just did a youth impact event which was on SDGs, which was for people, for students in NCR, Delhi NCR, to develop society consciousness and SDG implementation through creative writing, short film, and case study. And we will be doing that on other parts of India as well. And do catch us on. I will share our social media channels to join us here. So youth impact like was a discovery process and also implementation through creative writing and short films for SDGs. Again, we did a very prestigious global forum recently, which was specifically on youth and diversity and inclusion, and which was a forum that fosters an ethos of diversity and inclusion. And there were international thought leaders who were present here, government, UNDP, UNB officials, as well as many CEOs and role models. Again, like I mentioned before, there are projects that you can do online. You can join us for volunteering or doing a long-term project online, which focus on social impact, and these are specifically on SDGs. So all the information is available on our social media channels, Orion Youth, Orion Square, the Orion Org on Facebook or on LinkedIn. You can also write to me directly at jyotika@theorion.org to get more information, and I'll be happy to talk to you at any point in time. So can we stop sharing the presentation? Yes. So with this, I think I come to an end of the presentation. I'm sure I don't think I have more time than right now, but I want to congratulate again all of you for being here. I want to wish you all the best for whatever that you take up in whichever way, small or big, it doesn't matter. Uh, do adapt the SDGs. Do ensure that your schools, parents, your friends, family, they understand what the SDGs are, and they take up small things with you, how we can help the environment, humanity, and whatever issue that you take up. Yeah, all the best.
So that was splendid. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jyotika Dhawan, and thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights into STG. And there are a few points, those were really the eye openers right now at this point of time, especially while you talked about the 17 SDGs that are UN proposed. And I hope that we could have had more time for a very much lengthy discussion. So we look forward to welcoming you to the future sessions
Yes,
if there is anything to work on. And also, like the point about the privileges. So I also personally think that we need to keep on educate our current and future generations about the privileges that we carry or we do enjoy. And these are something that a major chunk of our population doesn't have the kind of access to the privileges. So this is something definitely we need to keep teaching our future generation. So thank you so much for that. And also I would like to proudly say that I'm so proud to be a part of QSI Gauge, those who
yes.
take these kind of initiatives. And now I also would like to be a part of, the participants. I wish that we will take this initiative with Ryan, this
Yes.
initiative to the greater heights. Okay. So once again, thank you so much, Jyotika. Okay.
I
And
look
now,
forward to being in touch, and I look forward to assisting in whatever way that I can. And that again, congratulate you for the initiative and a wonderful platform that you have provided. Congrats again. Thank you.
thank you, Jyotika. Thank you once again. And hi all. Now I think we will go to the we will move to the main agenda of the today's session, which is the panel discussion between the students. There is a vibrant panel of students those are present here, headed by Mr. Dhruv Jati. So now I would like to introduce and welcome Mr. Dhruv Jati, who is moderating today's session. I'm pretty sure that the schools representatives or the students from Bangalore, Mr. Dhruv. I don't have to introduce him, but to those who doesn't know him, Mr. Dhruv is a third year BA student in Jindal School of International Affairs, and he is the founder of Bangalore Student Community, mass student-led humanitarian organization. Dhruv and Bangalore student community are currently working on SDG 4, quality education, and it is the implementation in North Karnataka. So they are working on the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is one of the 17 SDGs as proposed by the United Nations. And apart from their goal to help improve infrastructure and creating a holistic environment for students to study. So their 2021 plan is going to include a mechanism to bridge students from Bangalore urban to Bangalore rural through and out of the syllabus program. So we are eagerly looking forward to know more about that details, Dhruv. And Bangalore urban students can complete community service hours by teaching rural students on gender equality, social stigma, importance of mental health, and leadership programs. So Dhruv's end-to-end goal is to create leaders in both the urban and rural spaces of Karnataka, which really goes hand in hand with the SDGs and the proposed SDGs by the United Nations. We wish you all the best, Dhruv and team. And I would like to welcome Mr. Dhruv Jati to the session. Dhruv, over to you.
Thank you so much, Arun and QSI Gauge, for having me here today. Welcome to India's first ever student led national discussion on sustainable campuses. On today's panel, we have some of the brightest ideators from different parts of India. So let me introduce our first panelist, Mustafa Zamir from Lucknow. He studies in City Montessori. He's age 17 and currently in grade 12. A passionate student who connects SDGs with the 21st century. Next up is Ananya, who is joining us from Assam, Guwahati. She's a class 12 humanities student who believes in being a change maker in the long run. She believes in having to understand the social divide and how it must be dealt at the very crucial school level itself.
Thank
Next,
you
we
so
have
much.
Arav Mohan. Thank you. Thank you, Ananya, for being here with us. We have Arav Mohan, a CIS student from grade 12, joining us from Bengaluru. He's a young, dynamic leader and an inspiration to many within his school. Prior, he's been involved in various humanitarian activities within Bangalore city, encompassing the migrant labor crisis to also helping around with animals right around his home. We have Om Kirpadi as well from Bengaluru, who is a student from Vidyashilp Academy. He's in grade 12, and Om is a creative thinker who plans to get into the field of business. A very interesting combination in which he believes he can utilize his artistic skill program that he believes in to create design products that can tackle problems we face on a daily basis related to the sustainable development goals. Lastly, we have Anushka, our youngest ideator on today's panel. She's joining us from Dehradun, and she is a national rifle shooter. She's motivated towards implementing the SDGs around her because she's concerned about issues such as pollution, working on safeguarding the ecosystems, and we're looking forward to to a very exciting panel discussion today. So, without further ado, let's understand what these young minds have to offer on table. We'll begin with Mustafa.
Thank you very much. As you know, I am Mustafa Zamir, and I'm from City Montessori School, Lucknow, Rajiv Nagar campus. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite motivated to actually be a part of this discussion organized by QS. And well, we know that this topic is a very hot button one, and a farrago of opinions, and facts and myths are already on our table to discuss on sustainability. And this topic is making headlines throughout the world. Ever since the United States of America has withdrawn from Paris Agreement 2015, the world is in a dilemma as to how we go forward with the issues raging throughout the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite motivated by a lot of people around me to actually come and discuss upon these topics. And well, I can say that Greta Thunberg of Sweden, she's the one, you all must be knowing her, that she actually challenged world leaders at United Nations Forum, and accusing them of taking very little steps when it comes to climate action and climate change. So I'm quite amazed by her, and I'm quite motivated. Uh, Another person to motivate me is my class teacher herself, Ma'am Shashwati, and Deepti ma'am too. So they are an inspiration to me because they are working throughout in the campus, giving views and organizing events where students come in and pitch in their cash in their talents when it comes to giving opinions on the issues on the environment. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you so much for making me a part of this discussion. And should I start, sir,
Yes, Mustafa,
to
please,
give
please
my
begin with your idea.
Okay, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the schools in which we are studying, they are quite old-fashioned. Old-fashioned in the sense that, of course, the buildings may be new or they may be centuries old, but that does not matter. But when it comes to the curriculum, when it comes to the pedagogy, that is pretty old because it is made for an industrial society, which is that no longer exists today. And I would say that do not have a paradigm shift in our mentality when it comes to to face the jeopardy which this 21st century is facing. And I'm not saying that our school should not be career oriented. I'm not saying that we should not teach arithmetic and physics in our schools. I'm not saying anything of that, but I would say that our schools aren't that innovative in one sense. So, number one, we need to have the shift in purpose. We need to design our schools for the purpose of creating a sustainable future. And as it is said, the schools should, think globally and act locally, and actually teach SDGs to students so that they achieve them and they become decision policy makers, right? So, and immediate threats would be, we know that it's on food security, as ma'am mentioned, water availability of health and infrastructure. So for formation of eco clubs, I would say, within the school community would be one option. And we need to actually see that there has to be a public private partnership as well, grants to each of these eco clubs, schools and colleges, for undertaking various, eco friendly initiatives and activities. That can be an idea, and as an opinion I'm actually putting forth over here. And then a school of climate change and sustainability should be there, should be created with an aim to actually train human resources capable of addressing and managing emerging challenges facing the nation and the world. So yes, ladies and gentlemen. So one more thing I would add, just that the best practices can be that monitoring of energy conservation, waste and water, linking of sustainable management system, and education facility program in the curriculum which we're having in our school. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe and vehemently support these arguments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mustafa. I really like how you came out to explain that eco clubs in schools should have some sort of private public partnerships. This is very crucial. We see it at a college level where these clubs receive some sort of external funding, but in school levels, they're usually dependent on the school itself to sustain. But once there's some intervention from outside, it becomes a bit more easier for these eco clubs to grow. I thank you for bringing across that point. It's very valuable to today's conversation. So next up, let's listen to what Ananya has to say from Guwahati. She's worked on sustainable development goals prior to this, and she's one of our seasoned panelists, is what I would say. Over to you, Ananya.
Thank you, sir. Um, Now, when I think about the Sustainable Development Goals as a whole, we have to understand that they're very situation specific, I'd say, as of now, because we come from different parts of the country. We come from different schools that are oriented differently, that have different provisions in them. So, in that, perhaps I agree with what Mustafa just said. I agree that there needs to be a shift in thought, and I agree that we need to start teaching SDGs to kids. Now, when we teach them to our students, we need to understand that we need to start from quite earlier classes, I'd say. We need to teach them about, as Jyotika ma'am had said, the privilege that they have and to act on that privilege because that is what is important, I'd say. So what we need to do is we need to teach them to value their resources. We need to teach them how to conserve those resources and how to go ahead with it and the current climate that we live in. Beyond that, I am quite moved by the Sustainable Development Goal on gender equality. And in that, there's a deep need to teach students about what exists out in the real world. And in a sense, we should sensitize them as it is age appropriate across classes. We need to sensitize them about the power dynamic that exists in society, perhaps, and as well as like ma'am said, to take up projects on harassment and to go ahead with that. Perhaps we could introduce assemblies which solely talk about or encourage students to come forward and say, look, I've done this today, or this is something that we can do, and which encourages people to come forward and give more ideas. Of course, there's a lot that can be discussed in this panel discussion, and I'm quite excited to listen to what everyone has to say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ananya. That was very interesting. Your point on assemblies and how people should actually come together in some forum and discuss their ideas on protection of women is a crucial point again that you've brought up. So I just want to inform the viewers who have tuned in today. Feel free to ask in your questions in the chat box. The floor is open for all the panelists that are here. So let's move on to Anushka now, who's joining us from Dehradun. Anushka, tell me more about your idea of sustainable campuses and what you think is, a viable and a feasible implementation according to you.
So, according to me, I would like to start with a thought given by Gandhi ji, the father of a nation. Like Earth has enough for human need, but not enough for human greed. So nowadays, all the people are using resources that they will be getting every day. They are not thinking about like the resources need to be like retreated. They will take time to regrow. but the human nowadays are not giving them time to regenerate, and this is how we are like exploiting the resources at a level. So I would like to say that sustainable development is a development that needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So our school has done many things to get sustainable development, and they are planning to do so. So I would like to say about clean water and sanitization. So the clean water and sanitization, I would like to start with. We have a sewage treatment plant in which the crushed waste of a kitchen is sent there, and from there we get the recycled water which is used for irrigation. And this is how we are not wasting the kitchen waste and sending it to the disposal area. Second, I would like to say about the rainwater harvesting unit. We have 3 rainwater harvesting unit, and this monsoon will be the first one to experience it in 2021. And we our school is reusing the waste in many ways. Like they are using the orange peel as face mask. Like everyone knows, like orange peel is very good in vitamin C, so every girl needs like a face pack, so they are reusing it. While they dry up the orange peel and use it as a face mask. And the same goes with rose peel also. So the rose peels which are like dried and all, so they take out from the rose plant and dried up, and they use as face mask. And another, like banana peels, the banana peels we get from a like food break, so the banana peel doesn't goes up to the dustbin. We cut them into pieces and use them as manure for ornamental plants. Same goes with the fallen leaves are collected and composted and converted into manure, which is also used for ornamental plants. And like our school participated in waste warrior organization, which was organized by Dehradun in 2016. So our school teacher was awarded the best achievement award, and they were given 7 projects. So I would like to tell you about some of them. So my teachers inform students that means organic food is better than junk food, and what is the importance of organic food. And she also told us about like what they have created from waste. Like they created wrapping paper, then they created dustbin, etc. And like the kitchen waste is also crushed and used as
Okay, I think we lost Anushka here for a quick second. We'll try patching her back. Meanwhile, I'll just speak a bit more about what she had to say. So Unison School, their contributions must be highly appreciated towards the sustainable development goals and towards India's contributions as a whole towards sustainable development goals. They've in fact touched on a crucial point such as biodiversity, which is something that we find very less in number. We have very few institutions that tackle biodiversity in today's CSR mode or even through different clubs. So while we try to patch Anushka back, we'll move on to Om. Om is joining us from Bengaluru. He's from Vidya Shilp Academy. Om Kilpani, please tell me what you have to say about implementing SDGs in your campus. If I'm not too wrong, you believe a bit in the energy sector and in the solar sector.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I'm really happy to be here. And yes, today I would like to focus on improving my campus with the help of SDG number 7, which states affordable and clean energy for all. This ensures access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy for all implemented on campuses as well as schools, starting with mine. So on the surface level, there is a solution that I'm sure many of you have heard of. With the advent of technology, we're seeing the rise and growth of alternative sources to energy. One of them being the use of the sun in the form of solar panels. So I actually had the chance to actually speak to a few school managers and interview them, and I was able to gather some information regarding their electricity consumption. So to state a few facts, and on average, schools with population of 2,000 students, they spend about rupees 80,000 on electricity consumption per month, consuming a large 5,000 units on a 15-acre campus. So most electricity in Bangalore is produced thermally through burning of fossil fuels, leaving behind a rather huge carbon footprint. these fossil fuels produce harmful emissions that I'm sure you're all aware of, affect the quality of air, water, soil, and are responsible for global warming. So production from coal and natural gases at a thermal level account for 20% of carbon dioxide emissions, which we know is not good at all. So now the benefits of what I am suggesting, the use of these panels, they could reduce the effects of carbon dioxide emissions significantly by cutting down the use of natural gases and switching to clean and stored energy. This power is 100% clean and it's a renewable energy source, which reduces reliance on oil, coal, and natural gas for electricity production. So now there's the matter of the cost. Schools that can't afford to keep paying their bills, like install these huge panels, spend crores of rupees. So the solution for this is a PPA agreement. It stands for a solar power purchase agreement. It's an agreement where you don't buy the solar panels, you lease them. So this is a solution for the slightly lower range schools with a relatively smaller budget, where they get to lease these panels and get to exploit the full benefits and save energy as well as money. So I have actually had the chance to work with WFUNA, WFUNA, with my school to tackle SDG number 4, quality education. And I firsthand seen these schools, and they don't have access to electricity, to power like we do. So this interrupts their regular school services. They fail to enjoy access to quality education. So I stoutly believe that implementing these solutions and techniques can really drive the education system in our country forward. So I hope these schemes can be implemented soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You've come up with a couple of very good points when we speak about the PPA agreement. It's something that can actually be taken on in a state level scale and then be implemented in pan India. It's a great thought, in fact, because if you look at the rural sides of India, it's a project that even I work on the side. So you actually witness that electricity is a huge problem over there, where after a certain period of time, the students actually don't get electricity, maybe for 6 o'clock, or the regular cuts that happen. So their education is disrupted to a very large level, and most of these students also are working at the same time in order to provide bread to their family. So they find time to study at night, but if they don't have enough electricity, then that's a hassle. So this is a very interesting plan, Om. I thank you for putting that forward. Just before we move on to Arav, we'll get back to Anushka, who we lost a while back. So Anushka, you were speaking something very interesting about biodiversity and what Unison had done. So just intrigue us more about what you had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Dhruv, for giving me another chance. And so I would like to continue with my speech. Like our school is also like using all the waste, and like we have in like partnership with other foreign schools. So whenever they are coming to our school for exchange programs, so we are telling them the importance of the waste, and they are making new things from waste. So we aren't using like non-renewable resources to get other things. And so now like our school has taken an oath, like we have in Waste Warrior Club, and which have taken an oath from Green School organization to like protect the environment and to promote sustainable development. So like the same replica was created and pasted in each class to promote sustainable development and to like support SDG. And like our school is doing lot many things, and like they don't use resources, they don't use artificial energy. So as everyone know, like Dehradun is located in a cities which is full of valleys, so we get electricity from hydropower also. We have we have solar panels also. Solar panels are like one time investment, and we can get energy every time. And indirectly we are saving coal, and we are not polluting the environment. Therefore, our school is planning to install like pollution controlling device, and we also get energy from thermal energy. And so like solar energy like is used in many ways, such as solar light, And we also have solar bulbs and all, and we in the winters we use solar heaters too. And the next point I would like to say, like the good health and well-being. Good health and well-being is very important for everyone, because like it's the key point of a school. And our school has also collaborated with Max Hospital for regular medical care and checkups. And the counseling sessions also happen. And like if anyone is allergic to anything, like if one is allergic to wheat, so our school will take the initiative to like to make prepare food which doesn't contain wheat, and they will allow like the parents to give them the ingredients to do it. So means school is taking full initiative to like promote well-being. And we also like so we live in a boarding school, so everyone gets frustrated after like staying for a month or two. So our school also organizes a trip where the students of class grade means according to the grade go out of the school for a trek and all, to refresh their mind, because this is also very important for a well-being and good mind. And the teachers which are staying in this school are like they have motherly feeling. And I would like to say that this my teacher my I am an EVS student, so my teacher Miss Selva, Miss Nidhi, and Miss Updesh helped me a lot to do this. And they are having a motherly feeling which motivates the students to stay in a boarding school, and which makes them like feel easier to settle down there. And I will now like to say about quality of education. So education treated by a school is a very high quality. The school has good facility and highly qualified and experienced teacher to put
Anushka,
in the.
Anushka, you were mentioning something. You were mentioning something about biodiversity in the beginning, about your idea of biodiversity. How exactly you think that it could be implemented? So in a few lines, if you can just conclude by explaining, according to you, what should be done in your campus.
So, as I already said, that our school has taken, as it is lot many means many initiatives, but they are planning to do so. Like we are preserving biodiversity in a way, like our school is a vegetarian school, and they don't allow means anything that is non-veg. So they are means they are saving the animals, and they can be used in the further generation. And we are also promoting, like our school is located in an area which is full of greenery, and we also support greenery, and we have like many trees and plants you can see in our website. And
That's
so that's
lovely. That's lovely. That's lovely. That's very nice to hear. That's very nice to hear. The contributions of your school have been, in fact, fantastic, and your ideas to make your school more sustainable is extremely, extremely overwhelming. Thank you, Anushka. So let's move on to our last panelist, who is Arav Mohan from Canadian International School, Bangalore. Arav, please explain what you have to say about sustainable campuses and how it could be implemented.
Number one, I just like to thank Dhruv and QSI Gage for this lovely opportunity to really provide a platform, I think, for a discussion that's essential to saving our planet. So now what's my idea of a sustainable campus, right? I think a campus is characterized by its students and faculty. And the first step is awareness, right? So as both Mustafa and Ananya mentioned, I think an essential part is integrating the SDGs into our curriculum, but going further to explain the effect of climate change in a practical manner to our students, right? Because the abstract concept of the world ending, that's easy to take, but the idea of seeing it would help students better understand why we need to work hard to protect our planet. Now, onto a sustainable campus. How do I think that should work? I think the best sustainable campus goes after SDG 11, which is sustainable cities and communities, right? Building a living ecosystem that is self-reliant is essential, right? Solar panels, as Om said, are a great example of alternative energy sources. But another great one is biogas, right? And I think alternative energy efficiency is extremely important on campus because, as again Om mentioned, campuses use up a lot of energy, and to ensure that we're being clean with the energy we use is important. Another idea would be daylighting, right? Using daylight, especially since most schools occur during the day, can be a great way to improve student mental health and also lower the use of energy. Yeah, so moving on, I would like to talk about creating campus gardens. Right? I think growing food on campus is one of the greatest things a school could do. It uses a lot of the natural resources that a school already has, which is land, right? And it also helps student wasted food the students produce to go back as fertilizer to produce uh, more food. So it creates, again, a self-reliant ecosystem, something that I think is essential when you're going after the SDGs. Another step would be water, right? Using different strategies such as water efficient toilets and filters that make taps more efficient, lowering water wastage is essential. And rainwater harvesting, a great way to fuel irrigation for campus gardens. Again, another strain of campus viability. Community. I think, as Ms. Jyotika said, a great importance is we have to acknowledge the privilege we possess as students of these great international schools, right? Building a sense of community around the idea of sustainability on campus and encouraging students to form committees and groups, discuss how the campus can be more energy efficient and resource efficient is essential. And I'll tell you why, because mainly it encourages students to think about the idea of sustainability, right? But also it helps them come up with innovative new ideas that I don't think adults can think of, right? Because students provide this unique perspective that I think, especially in groups and committees, can work out great towards energy efficiency. So those are just some of my smaller ideas, but I think overall, a sustainable campus has one essential point, and that is community, right? It's not only about building a sense of community around sustainability, but building a sense of community as a whole. A team that works together does the most work. And to have students work together as a community to achieve sustainability, I think that's how we're going to get through everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. In fact, there's a comment from one of the participants who says that integrating SDGs into our curriculum aptly said by Arav. True, true. Looking at how we consist of the urban crowd and we're urban students, SDG number 11, sustainable cities and communities, is very relevant to us and how so we are just going to enter a bit of the conclusion part of this session. Let me ask you a few questions. All right. So let's head to Mustafa, the Secretary General of the United Nations today. What is the one thing that you would change? All right, I'll just repeat myself. Mustafa, if you were the United Nations Secretary General today, what is the one thing that you would want to change? Mustafa, I'm just not able to hear you. If you'll have to repeat yourself.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So yes, if I were the Secretary General of United Nations, my first job would be to actually have a consensus among nations on the issue of climate change, because I think that is the elephant in the room. That if we have consensus on the policies on climate change, and I think a number of other issues will automatically be solved, right? So what I'm finding these days among nations is that they're lacking consensus among themselves, because the nations are becoming more and more populist, right? We have certain leaders out there who, driven by their political agendas, driven by their politics, are populist, right? Populism. I hope the panel out there
Yes,
knows
Mustafa,
this
that's
very thing.
that's an interesting concept. But I'm trying to say, if you were the Secretary General, what is one thing that you would change for students? Okay, so
Well,
I'm thinking, yeah,
I
yeah.
yes. So I would definitely want the students as well as various other schools to actually be a part of United Nations in some or the other way, not directly sitting in any particular body of the United Nations, but actually having a direct link with the United Nations. Right? You have UNICEF, you have WHO. So I would definitely want more and more transparency in these organizations so that they can incorporate the ideas of students as well, because we have seen recently in many countries that the students are coming out as lawsuits, right? Filing lawsuits in the Supreme Court of their various countries, right? We know a very I'm remembered
That's true. That's true, Mustafa. I get what you're saying. So that's a very interesting point that you have brought to this. So
just one reminder out here to the panel that there was just one. I'll take just 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, if you could allow. Yeah. So
sure.
there was this case, Juliana versus the United States, and what happened in that case that around 15 children, filed a lawsuit in the Supreme Court of United States. But what happened that ultimately the suit was declined. They were not given chance to speak in court. This happened in the 90s, right? So you see, we need to have consensus. Consensus is very important part, be it judiciary, be it executive. So as a secretary, I would definitely would like to have more and more consensus so that the impasse can be, removed in one sense.
Yes. Thank you, Mustafa. So now that we have just hit our 1 hour mark, I will conclude with the remarks for today's session. I thank you all for being here with QS iGauge today. I think platforms like these is which we can actually bring the change makers out. So I hope you go back to your classrooms tomorrow morning and motivate your fellow classmates on working towards a sustainable development goal. It's very simple. All you have to do is tell them, think of one problem that you feel troubles you, relate it to a sustainable development goal, and see how you can tackle it. So if we as individuals can tackle these SDGs, then together as a nation we can do much more. So in conclusion, I would like to conclude with what Mustafa had said that caught my eyes. In fact, so he said, "Think globally and act locally." So this is going to be the conclusion remarks for today, and it's an extremely lovely panel that we had. Thank you all for joining, and for everybody who is tuned in today from outside, please subscribe to QS and stay updated on the events that are following, especially for our January and February 2021 launch of the QS Sustainable Campuses project. I wish you all a very, very good day ahead.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be a part of such a wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dhruv, for the lovely conversation.
Thank you.